Okay, so I think we'll get started. So hello again, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name's Tom, and I'm a marketing executive for the University of Liverpool's online programs. I'm just going to give a very quick overview of our speakers that are joining us here today and also the agenda for the webinar. And then I'll pass on to my colleagues. Just to note, if you do have any questions throughout this webinar, please do write them in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and we'll do our best to answer those after the presentation. So let's get started. So today our speakers are Dr. Vicky Bates and Courtney Vickers. Unfortunately, Alexandra Lockwood hasn't been able to join us as she's been having connection issues, and therefore Courtney will be taking her place. So yeah, onto the agenda. We'll be covering obviously the Master of Public Health programme, and then we'll move on to the enrolment process, where we'll also talk about the scholarship, and we'll then have a live Q&A at the end of the presentation. And with that, I'll pass over to Vicky.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today for this webinar. So I'm sure you're all somewhat familiar with our MPH programme that we offer. So our public health programme is, as you can see, fully accredited by AFIA, which is the Agency for Public Health Education Accreditation. And having this accreditation sort of guarantees the quality of the curriculum that we offer. Our online MPH curriculum is quite broad, so you'll cover some of the leading public health topics that you will be exposed to as working public health professionals. And this really aids in your career development if you want to move into management, more public health focused roles. This MPH programme is really worthwhile and will add a lot of value to your CV. So studying on our MPH programme is completely asynchronous for all the core components of your taught modules. So there'll be a variety of innovative lecture casts. So these will include some audio recordings from your lecturer, PowerPoint presentations, videos, short question and answer style tests. And one of our key selling features and what makes our programme unique is the collaborative nature. So we offer a unique opportunity for every module that you study to work collaboratively with your peers and also the faculty, which come from a variety of public health backgrounds, and they are located globally. So you'll have the expertise developed to work as a multi-professional public health practitioner. And that's quite unique to our programme. So for each topic that you'll be covering, you'll work collaboratively with your peers to approach different public health problems. And this all goes towards your assessments. So also as part of being an MPH student, you'll have full access to our university's online library, which has an extensive range of journals, ebooks, anything that you need really to complete your studies and do wider research. So we offer several ways through our Master Public Health programme. A lot of students enter onto the general route, and this might be because they're not quite sure what they want to focus on, and they want to get an understanding of what public health is and what they might like to study and focus on. So through the general route, you can opt to take any of our optional modules that you choose. If you choose one of our specialist routes, then there are restrictions to some of the optional modules that you have to take. So we have our global mental health route. This is our newest specialist pathway, and this is ideal if you want to work as a public health practitioner with a focus on mental health. Then this will really give you the key underpinning knowledge to help you progress your career in that area. We also have our international public health route. So this is looking at a global perspective of what public health is, looking at more specifically at low middle income countries, policy challenges. So a real variety for global health approach there. And we also have our management of health systems route. And this is a focus on more of the health economics. So you look at economic evaluations, leadership strategies, more of a management focus for this route. And then no matter what pathway you take, you will focus your dissertation on that specialism. So if you choose the mental health pathway, for example, you will then go on to study and do some primary research in the area of public mental health as part of your dissertation. So it's an excellent opportunity to get some real hands-on research completed as well. So now we just look at more of the what our scholarship is offering. So this is a unique executive global scholarship where we're offering 50% off the tuition fees for our October intake. So this means you can study for our Master of Public Health course for £8,434 instead of the usual £16,868. At the moment, this scholarship can't be carried out to the future intake, so we really encourage you, if you really want to take up this opportunity, then we really encourage you to enrol on the October intake. So Courtney, I don't know if you want to speak a bit more about the enrolment processes.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Vicky. So my name's Courtney and I currently work as the admissions manager for the online programs, and I work alongside a team of dedicated advisors who have been working hard to process all of your applications. So you will have had emails and had correspondence with some of these advisors throughout your application process. And they've been trying hard to keep you up to date with what's happening, and we know it can be an anxious wait for some of you as you wait to hear back about it, but we do want to reassure you that, as Vicky said, we have got in place this 50% scholarship that can be offered to those of you who are not successful with the fully funded scholarship that you have applied for. And so we know that without some sort of financial support, many of you may not currently be in a position to continue with those applications and to progress and study with us. But we would like as many of you as possible to have the opportunity to come in to study our MPH programme. And so that's why we are offering that 50% scholarship. It can be paid in monthly instalments, so please don't worry about having to pay it up front. You can pay it in monthly instalments of roughly £281, or you can choose to pay it up front if that is how you do decide to pay it. The choice is up to you, but we do know that for most applicants, it is easier to pay that in a monthly basis rather than fully up front. And so, as mentioned, it is only applicable just now to our October intake, which is the intake that you all currently have offers for. So if you do wish to take part in this scholarship or to make the most out of it, then we would encourage you to act quickly once we find out who is successful for the scholarship, just so that we can give you the best information and allow you to have the most time possible to prepare yourself for that October start date. And in terms of next steps, with the enrolment process, if you are unfortunately unsuccessful with the application for the Commonwealth Scholarship, the option is then yours as to whether you would like to continue with us or whether you would like to withdraw your offer. Our admissions advisors will provide you with all of this information over email too, but just to give you an idea of how you could proceed if you would like to, we will make sure, first of all, that you'll have all the correct information. So we'll make sure you've got the correct payment plan, which explains to you the 50% scholarship and the type of payment that you wish to pay, whether it's upfront or monthly. We'll confirm that you've got the correct offer letter for the October start date. And then all that's required from yourself is there's 2 steps. We would require you to take action by submitting an online acceptance form and then making the first payment. Now, if you choose to pay in monthly instalments, the first payment that's required will just be 1 monthly instalment, so that £281. If you wish to pay that full fee up front, so the remaining £8,434, that's what would be required before you start the programme. Now, please don't worry about that. That is something that you can discuss further with your admissions advisors if you do wish to do so. They can give you some better insights into what that sort of process would look like and how it happens. But the next slide that we'll go through is just a little bit about the payment portal. So if I could have the next slide, please. Brilliant. So this is just a very quick screenshot of what the payment portal looks like if you were to go on to make this payment through the university website. The online payment portal that we use is called Flywire. It's an external system, and so it's run by a different team, but we do have contact with them. And Flywire is what it does is it essentially allows applicants to select the country from which they would like to pay. So the country where you currently reside. We know that our applicants are across the board. We don't just have sort of one specific country from where you've all applied. And so you can select the country from which you would like to pay, and then Flywire looks to find the best rate possible for you to convert that into UK currency, so pounds. With most countries, you'll have the two main options of either making a bank transfer payment or making a credit debit payment, as well as some other less frequently used options, but options that you are welcome and entitled to use should you wish to. But the two main options are bank transfer and credit debit payments. And so these options may require you to go speak to your bank beforehand to approve the payment, but this will be individual, so it's on a case-by-case basis depending on what your bank policies are with international payments. It may not be required, but just to give you an indication, it may sort of require you going into the bank to speak to them in person or using some kind of online banking platform in order to confirm those payments. Once you've made a payment to Flywire, it will ask you for some basic information, just your name and your email address, and that's just so that our advisors can track the payments. So that information isn't used for anything other than for us to be able to keep track of those payments and to assign them to the correct students once those payments come in. And our advisors will regularly check this platform just to keep track of incoming payments, but we do recommend that you contact them too, either by phone call or by email, just to let them know when you have paid and accepted so that you aren't waiting for that confirmation. And then all that happens then is once we have received both your payment, whether that is your monthly instalment or the full payment that's required, and the acceptance form, then our advisors will enrol you onto the programme. And that's a very simple process, and it's nothing that you have to be concerned about, but all it does is it requires us emailing the dedicated department who will enrol you onto the programme, and that is you ready to go for October. This can happen at any point, but what we would recommend is that if you do wish to enrol in the programme, we do obviously want you to prepare yourself as best as possible. So giving yourself the greatest amount of time to be enrolled onto the programme and to feel settled is always the best way forward. But you can enrol right up until sort of the Monday before the start date, so the week before. And obviously if there are any issues with payment or anything, we can work through that with you, and we'll be able to give you sort of alternative options or assist you and get you into contact with Flywire should you experience any issues. So yes, that's sort of the overview of what will be required from you next. Obviously, up until this point, you have done the hardest part. You've submitted your application, you've given us all your documents, so we don't want you to worry about this next step. It's a very simple process, and it does mostly happen on our end. So the advisors will do most of the work. They just need your support in making that initial payment and also submitting that acceptance form. But very well done for getting to this point and submitting both applications, the application to ourselves and also the application to the Commonwealth Scholarship. So yes, I believe that is this section done. I think we've just onto the question and answers. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box or the question and answer section.
Thanks, Courtney, and thanks, Vicky, as well for your time. We do have some questions already, but as Courtney just said, please feel free to ask any that you might have, and we'll do our best to answer them. I'll come to you first, Vicky, with a question, which is, how do I choose the right pathway for me, for the person asking the question, obviously not myself.
Well, what I would say is it's entirely up to you. What we say is, what is the most relevant to your professional practice? What do you think is going to benefit you the most? And if you've got a specific career path in mind, so if you do want to work in global mental health, then obviously our global mental health pathway. If you want to work more in sort of financing, developing new policies, maybe the management and the health economics pathway would be more of an option for you. If you don't have any sort of necessary topics that you need to cover as part of your career development, I would say do what interests you the most. I think the most important thing is studying something that you're really interested in, and that's when you'll get the most out of it, especially when you're doing your dissertation. It really helps if you're doing your dissertation in a topic that really interests you, so you're motivated and engaged and enjoying the process as much as possible, really. I don't think you can go wrong with any of our pathways. We cover so many interesting public health problems through all of our modules, so I think you'll be happy whichever choice you make, really.
Perfect, thank you, Vicky. I'll come to you, Courtney, next. and someone is just asking for an update on the Commonwealth Scholarship and what the latest is with that, if possible to provide an update.
Yeah, of course. So at the moment, we are just waiting on confirmation of those who are successful. Once that comes through to us, we will notify people immediately. It's just that at the moment, we haven't heard back. We did anticipate to hear at the end of July, but unfortunately, we haven't heard back yet. There must just be a couple of delays on their end. But as soon as we do hear back, we will we will sort of get in touch with you as soon as we can. And we do anticipate that that will be within the next few weeks. But obviously, as it is an external body that is providing us with this information, we aren't in a position to sort of very accurately confirm it will be on this date. But we will aim to notify those successful or unsuccessful as soon as we do hear back.
Thank you. Again, I'll stick with you, Courtney, as this is again about the Commonwealth Scholarship. Someone's asked, what happens to the 50% exclusive scholarship offer if you win the Commonwealth Distance Learning Scholarship?
Well, the Commonwealth Scholarship is a fully funded scholarship, so there will be no discount that can be applied because you will have no fees to pay because that will be fully funded for yourself. So it's not that it no longer applies; it's just that you are getting an even greater scholarship, and so therefore there will be no need to apply that 50%.
Perfect, thank you. And again, another scholarship question, well, kind of fees and funding question. Are there any additional funding opportunities available for students who receive the Executive Global Scholarship but still face financial difficulties?
At the moment, unfortunately, the only scholarship that we do have available will be this 50%. We aren't able to provide sort of additional internal support for the remaining fees that are due. But what we do always recommend that students do is they look to employers or to perhaps external sponsors. We do have a lot of students who then are employer funded, and they do find success in that as they approach their employers to talk about sort of professional development and personal development and the things that they would like to do in order to achieve some of their personal or professional goals. So it's always worthwhile running that past an employer and seeing if perhaps there is something they can do to help with those fees and that funding.
Thank you. And are online students given the same certification as people who attend on campus?
Yeah, I'll answer that question. So our on-campus and online MPH programs are the exact same qualification at the end. They are recognised as the same qualification. You'll have the same certificates presented to you, and you'll be graduating or have the opportunity to graduate with the rest of our MPH students. All our on-campus and our online students graduate together and have the same graduation experience. So you can be assured that the quality of the MPH online is no different, and it's equally recognised around the world.
Thank you. And just to touch on graduation, as someone has asked, are international online students required to travel to campus for graduation? They are not, but if you do wish to do so, then please do, because it is a really nice day and it's great to be able to celebrate with your fellow students and meet them face to face as well. And just coming back to you, Vicky, as well, are there differences in the curriculum between the online and face-to-face MPH programs?
So the qualification is the same. The curriculum does differ slightly. So our campus curriculum has a more UK focus to it, whereas our online MPH has a more global focus. So you'll be covering more global public health problems. We do have more variety of modules on our online programme as well, so you'll get more variety.
Thank you. So I'll come back to you, Courtney. So someone's asked, is it possible to reapply for the Commonwealth Scholarship once the course has begun, for example, in your second year of study?
It would be possible, but you would likely have to withdraw from the programme in order to receive the full benefit of that scholarship. It's not possible to apply that scholarship to fees that have already been paid. So there would be no way for us to refund a student of that if they were to reapply. So if it is your intention to apply for the Commonwealth Scholarship again and to defer a year, then what I would recommend is that you don't start the programme in October, but you do wait until the applications reopen for the Commonwealth Scholarship in the coming year, so in 2025, and then we go through the same process again. But obviously there is no way to guarantee that you would be successful with that scholarship, so it's just about weighing up those options. But if you were to start the programme and then wish to apply for the Commonwealth Scholarship, it would not be applicable from that point. It would only be applicable from the beginning of the programme, so from the very first module.
Perfect, thank you. Someone's asked, is the 50% is the 50% scholarship only valid for the minimum 30-month study period, or can it be used in case one takes longer to complete their studies?
Yeah, good question. So the 50% scholarship is currently valid for anyone who starts in the October intake. Now, students are entitled to request sort of leaves of absence at any point during their study, for which they can apply for extenuating circumstances, etc., or breaks in study. And that can be sort of sorted with the student support department once you are enrolled on a programme and past sort of your first module. But the fee would still remain the same for that duration of time. Should obviously there be any changes to fees, the student would be notified before, but the 50% scholarship is still valid, given that they began in the October intake. Once someone is on a programme, should they wish to take a break, then fees often are still required to be paid during that break, so during that time whether it be sort of 6 weeks, 12 weeks, etc., whatever the break is, the fees would still be required to be paid on a monthly basis, unless someone is in what we call financial deferral, in which that case that would be discussed with the student support department, and a different plan would be put in place. But the student's study would sort of be suspended during that time. So I guess the base answer is yes, it would still be applicable should someone take even slightly longer to complete the programme. But obviously with sort of longer breaks or longer periods out of study, if someone was to exit with an exit award, then we cannot guarantee that would still be applicable should they then enter into the programme again, as they did choose to take the exit award.
Amazing, thank you. And you mentioned at least financial deferral there, but someone has asked, if someone wants to defer for next year, then what is the process? I suppose that could mean with both just the programming, studying the program in general, but also maybe with the scholarship, if that's possible, I suppose.
Yeah. So at the moment, if you were to defer until next year, so if you wanted to study in one of our intakes, whether that be the January, or if you did want to wait until next October, so October 2025, that is possible. So you are able to just speak to your admissions advisor and they'll be able to sort that for you. They'll be able to put in the correct dates, and when it comes time to be able to issue those offer letters and payment plans, they can do so. What I would say though is that as we have stated, the scholarship is only applicable for this one intake at the moment, so it's just for the October intake. So should you then wish to carry that on, unfortunately that wouldn't be possible at this time. It is just applicable for the October 2024. But it is possible to defer the actual start date until next year, should that be better for you, for your sort of work schedule, etc., if that works better.
Perfect, thank you. And I'll come back to you, Vicky, if someone has asked, how much interaction do we have with fellow students, and are there things like group projects for that kind of interaction and collaboration, I suppose?
Yeah, so collaboration is one of our sort of unique selling points of the programme. So for each module, collaboration forms part of your assessment. So for each module, you'll be working in small groups with other students who come from different public health backgrounds, and you'll all work together on a public health problem, and you'll get to hear about experiences from different people from different careers, different countries, different settings. So you'll get a really varied experience and a truly collaborative, multi-professional learning experience. And I think that's something the students who've gone through the programme or currently going through the programme really enjoy and appreciate, that they don't get that opportunity in other environments to do that. And our faculty as well are really globally represented and come from a lot of different public health expertise. So you'll get to engage with experts in the field on a regular basis. So yeah, collaboration, group work is key to the programme.
Perfect, thank you. And someone's asked, what's the average contact time per week? So I assume that means kind of how much time do they have to a week do they have to kind of dedicate towards the programme?
Okay, so our programme's predominantly asynchronous. So you aren't required to attend classes at set times, for example. There will be some synchronous opportunities. We usually have a synchronous opportunity to discuss with your lecturer and your peers about your final projects, research proposals and things like that. We'll have synchronous opportunities. But study time will vary depending on the credits of the module, but typically we're looking about 20 hours per week study time. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's great. Another question we've had is, could you please provide information on ethical review for the dissertation as part of the online programme?
Yeah, so all of our dissertations have to get the University of Liverpool ethical approval. And for any research that's involving participants, especially in another country, will be required to get local ethical approval as well. So if you want to recruit from, say, your local hospital, you will need ethical approval from that hospital to say it's okay to conduct the research. So you'll need both university ethical approval and the local ethical approval. And the time it takes to get that varies, but all of our students go through that process. And it's something we're very experienced in, and we're very able to support you through that process. And we have a dissertation pathway that runs through the whole of the programme, and that will help with your ethical approval process, developing your application for ethics and supporting you through the whole way as well.
Perfect, thank you. We've got time for just a couple more questions before we finish. Coming back to you, Courtney, someone's asked, is there a limit on how many people get the 50% scholarship?
No. So anyone that has applied to our MPH programme and has also applied to the Commonwealth Scholarship and is unsuccessful is eligible for that scholarship. So there isn't sort of a cap on 20 students who want to accept it. It is being offered to all of those candidates who have been unsuccessful for the Commonwealth Scholarship, and it is applicable. So yes, there is. I can see another question that's just come in about inclusion criteria for the 50% scholarship. And the criteria is basically just having applied to both the Commonwealth Scholarship and to ourselves. So if you received the invitation for this webinar, then you are eligible for that 50% scholarship. So there isn't a question mark over it. If you've received the email with a link to this webinar, then you are definitely on our list and you are definitely eligible for that 50% scholarship.
Perfect, thank you, Courtney. That was a nice little segue into the inclusion criteria question there. But yeah, that's all we've got time for today. And thank you again, Vicky and Courtney, for taking the time to present today and answer people's questions. And thank you, everyone, for attending. We do hope it was really insightful for you and that you will consider studying with us, as we would be very happy to welcome you on board. Yeah, we've recorded this webinar, so we will be sending that out in the next few days. So if you do, I saw that we had some latecomers, so if you missed the start, then you can always catch up on that, or if you want to look at it again to see it, to remind yourself of any questions or anything, then you'll receive that in the next few days. So yeah, thank you again, and hopefully speak to you soon. Bye everyone.